Alright, picture this. I'm up at the crack of dawn, as usual, whipping up scrambled eggs and bacon. It's kinda our thing, you know? Every morning, the house fills up with this cozy, sizzling sound that just screams, home. There I am, flipping bacon, when I stumble upon this little velvet box, sneakily hidden behind the coffee machine. My heart does this little skip beat thing. Inside, a necklace that's just, wow. Sparkly, elegant, and so not expected. It's our anniversary, sure, but we're usually more low-key about it. Fast forward an hour, and he's on the phone in the study, his voice all hushed and serious. I'm not usually the Snoopy type, but something in his tone, it's off. He comes out looking like he's seen a ghost, announcing he's got to fly out tonight for work. Emergency meeting in Paris, he says. Paris, of all places, on our anniversary. Now, I'm no detective, but 2 plus 2 wasn't adding up. I get this nagging feeling, right? So, I do a little digging while he's showering. And there it is, in his travel bag, 2 tickets to Paris. My mind's racing, heart's pounding. 2 tickets? Why? I confront him, trying to keep my cool. A surprise trip for us, he says, all innocent. But his eyes, they're darting everywhere but my face. It doesn't sit right with me. Not one bit. The man's a terrible liar, always has been. So, I make up my mind right there and then. I'm gonna follow him. Crazy? Maybe. But my gut's screaming that something's way off. I tail him to the airport, heart in my throat, feeling like some spy in a bad movie. And there he is, at the check-in, all smiles and hugs with her. An old college friend of ours. Well, more his friend than mine, but still. It's like a punch to the gut, watching them, all cozy and laughing. My world, in that moment, just crumbles. So, there you have it. My picture-perfect morning turned into some twisted soap opera. But hey, what's a girl to do? Sit back and play the unsuspecting wife? Not a chance. This is just the beginning, my friend. The real show? It's about to start. So, where was I? Oh, right. Watching the love of my life board a plane to Paris with not me, but her. My heart? Shattered into a million pieces right there on the cold airport floor. It felt like a bad dream, except I was wide awake, and the nightmare was real. There's this ache, you know, deep in your chest, like someone's gripping your heart and won't let go. That was me, standing there, trying to wrap my head around what just happened. Dragging myself back home was a blur. The house felt empty, colder somehow. I found myself in our living room, surrounded by photos of us. Happier times, you know? Every smile, every hug, felt like a lie now. It was surreal, sifting through these snapshots of our life together, each one a punch to the gut. But then, something switched in me. Anger, maybe? Or just plain survival instinct. I wasn't just gonna cry and let this slide. No way. I turned detective, digging through bank statements, emails, anything I could find. And oh, did I find stuff. Hotel bookings in Paris, fancy dinners, the works. The evidence was right there, in black and white. Next stop? Legal advice. I met with a lawyer, laid all the cards on the table. It was a weird mix of emotions, explaining my mess of a marriage to a stranger. Anger, sadness, betrayal. But the lawyer? Cool as a cucumber, talking options and next steps. It felt good, you know, taking control. Even if it was control of a sinking ship. I wasn't done, though. Oh no. I wanted answers from her. So, I showed up at her workplace, all fired up, ready for a showdown. But she just brushed me off like I was some annoying fly. No remorse, no apologies. Just cold. That stung, not gonna lie. But it also lit a fire under me. I went nuclear. Social media, here I come. I posted everything. The evidence, the lies, the heartbreak. Let the world see what they were really like. It was a scandal, alright. My phone blew up, messages, calls, you name it. Part of me felt vindicated, another part, terrified. What had I just done? Then he came back, tail between his legs, shocked by the backlash. Tried to explain, said it was a mistake, a moment of weakness. But his words? They just sounded empty, rehearsed. I was done listening, done trying to understand. This was beyond fixing. I told him I wanted a divorce. Laid out all the evidence, made it clear there was no going back. His face? A picture of shock, like he never expected it to come to this. But it was too late for surprises. The love, the trust, it was all gone. Burned up in the fire of his betrayal. So yeah, that's where we're at. A marriage in ruins, a public scandal, and a heart that's still picking up the pieces. But you know what? There's this weird sense of freedom, too. Like I can finally breathe, finally start figuring out who I am without him. It's scary, sure, but also kind of exhilarating. So, guess what? The plot thickens. Turns out, the woman tearing my life apart is none other than my so-called friend's sister. Yeah, you heard that right. My friend, or should I say, ex-friend now, had been sitting on this bombshell the whole time. The feeling of betrayal? It's like a double whammy. Not just from the hubby, but from a friend I trusted. Felt like I was living in some twisted soap opera. Now, if you know me, you know I don't take things lying down. Anger became my fuel, sparking this burning desire for revenge. Not just any revenge, though. We're talking scorched earth policy. I was plotting to turn their lives into a spectacle, something out of a reality TV show where everyone's watching the car crash but can't look away. First order of business? The joint accounts. With a few clicks, I froze them, leaving him high and dry. Petty? Maybe. Satisfying? Absolutely. Watching him scramble to figure out his finances was like getting a front row seat to karma in action. But why stop there? The lover, or the other woman, as I like to call her, was next on my list. A little digging, a few emails later, and bam. The evidence of their affair landed right on her employer's desk. Can't say I wasn't a tad bit proud when I heard she got the boot. Harsh? Sure. But fair? I'd say so. The fallout was epic. Both of them, social pariahs overnight. His career took a nosedive, and hers wasn't even on the radar anymore. The whispers, the stares, the outright shunning. It was like watching dominoes fall, and I'd flicked the first one. Then came the divorce proceedings. He had the gall to beg for forgiveness, can you believe it? As if a simple, sorry, could stitch everything back together. But I stood my ground, unyielding. This was about respect, about what I deserved. And what I deserved was more than half-hearted apologies. The battle for assets was like the final scene of a drama. Lawyers, arguments, and endless paperwork. But when the dust settled, I came out on top. A significant chunk of our assets was now mine, leaving him financially and emotionally bankrupt. So, there you have it. From blissful ignorance to a whirlwind of betrayal and revenge. It's been a wild ride, one I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. Well, maybe on him. But through all the chaos, the heartache, and the drama, I found something unexpected: strength. And maybe, just maybe, a chance to start over on my own terms. So, here's where the story takes a turn. Picture this. Me, starting fresh, kinda like hitting the reset button on life. After all the drama, I dove headfirst into my career, picked up a couple of hobbies, and just focused on me for a change. Felt good, liberating even. Like I was finally breathing after being underwater for so long. But life, with its twisted sense of humor, wasn't done with me yet. At a mutual friend's party, guess who I bump into? Yep, Mr. X himself. The air got thick with tension the moment our eyes met. It was like the universe paused, waiting to see who'd blink first. We ended up in this heated confrontation, right there among the remnants of a party that had quickly turned into a battleground. He had the nerve to blame me, saying I'd overreacted, that I'd blown things way out of proportion. Can you believe that? I stood my ground, threw his betrayal right back at him, letting him know in no uncertain terms that what he did was unforgivable. Then, in front of everyone, I laid it all out: the lies, the deceit, every shady thing he'd done. It wasn't pretty. Watching him squirm, trying to come up with excuses, it was almost satisfying. Almost. The room went silent, all eyes on him, and just like that, he was the pariah. Left standing alone, while whispers filled the room. But I wasn't done, not by a long shot. I started plotting, thinking of ways to ensure his downfall was complete. I reached out to his business partners, armed with evidence of his untrustworthiness. It was like watching dominoes fall. One by one, they backed away, leaving him stranded in a sinking ship of his own making. His reputation? In the gutter. His career? Spiraling faster than he could comprehend. And then, there was her, the other woman, coming to me with apologies, trying to mend bridges she'd burned to the ground. But I was done. I didn't need her apologies or her excuses. I had my moral victory, and that was enough. He ended up isolated, a man without a country, so to speak. His friends, his associates, they all turned their backs on him. And when he tried to drag me through the mud with a slander case, well, let's just say the court didn't buy what he was selling. Winning that case? It was the cherry on top. So, there I was, having gone from the depths of despair to standing tall, vindicated. Sure, the road was messy, filled with revenge and anger, but it led me to a place of strength. I learned that sometimes, starting over isn't just about building something new, it's about reclaiming who you are and what you stand for. And let me tell you, standing on my own 2 feet, breathing in that sweet air of independence, I've never felt more alive. Let me tell you, it's been a roller coaster. There I was, sitting in the quiet of what used to be our home, the dust settling around me. Reflecting on everything that went down, part of me felt this deep, unsettling justification. I had done what I needed to do, right? But with him gone, the house felt emptier than ever, my victories hollow. I was alone, truly alone, and it made me question if it was all worth it. Then, out of the blue, I hear he's skipped town, moved abroad. Trying to outrun the scandal, or maybe just me. It hit me harder than I expected. Despite everything, part of me still clung to the man I thought I knew. So, I did what any self-respecting, heartbroken soul would do. I poured it all into a final message to him. A goodbye letter that was more for me than him, filled with everything I wished I could say to his face. It was liberating and heart-wrenching, all at once. But life has a funny way of throwing you curveballs. Digging deeper, I uncovered more lies, more betrayals. It was like peeling an onion, each layer stinging my eyes a bit more. It justified my actions, sure, but it also left me feeling empty. Was this really the man I had loved? In the midst of my turmoil, my support system showed up in ways I couldn't have imagined. Friends, family, even acquaintances reached out, offering shoulders to cry on, ears to listen. It was overwhelming, this sense of community, of not being alone in my fight. They validated my feelings, my actions, reminding me that I was more than this betrayal. Empowered by their support, I took a leap. I started speaking publicly about betrayal, about finding strength in the rubble of a shattered relationship. It was scary, putting myself out there, but the response was incredible. People listened, they related, and they supported me. It was a reminder that my story, as unique as it felt, was shared by many. Then, when I least expected it, someone new walked into my life. It was tentative at first, both of us dancing around our baggage. But there was something there, something worth exploring. I found myself learning to trust again, but this time, I kept a piece of myself just for me. Independence became my new mantra. Of course, not everyone saw my actions in a positive light. The backlash was swift and sharp, with whispers of vindictiveness following me around. It complicated things, making social situations a minefield. But it also taught me a valuable lesson. Not everyone will understand your journey, and that's okay. So here I am, navigating this new life I've built from the ashes of my old one. It's not perfect, far from it. But it's mine, and it's filled with possibilities. Who knows what the future holds? But one thing's for sure. I'm ready for it, come what may. You know, revenge is a tricky thing. At first, it felt like justice, like I was righting all the wrongs he'd done to me. But sitting alone in the quiet aftermath, I started to see the cost. Not just to him or her, but to me. My peace, my happiness, it all took a hit. I was so caught up in making them pay, I didn't realize I was the one who was paying the most. Then, bam, a curveball out of nowhere. A mutual friend, someone who'd been silent this whole saga, comes forward with a bombshell. My husband, the cheat, was apparently blackmailed into the affair. Yeah. Sounds like a soap opera, right? But hearing it, seeing the evidence, it threw me. All this time, I thought it was simple. He cheated. I retaliated. End of story. But it wasn't. It was messier, more complicated. That revelation? It had me all twisted up inside. Was my revenge justified? Or was I just another player in this messed up game? It's funny how life throws these moral dilemmas at you, just when you think you've got it all figured out. I even thought about going back, trying to undo some of the damage. But the legal stuff, the battles we'd fought? Turns out, you can't just hit rewind. The damage was done, and some things, once broken, stay that way. So, I turned inward, started focusing on me. Therapy, self-help books, you name it. It was time to grow, to heal from all this chaos. And through that process, I started to see things clearer. The deeper I dug, the more I realized how much manipulation had been at play. It wasn't just the affair. There were lies, deceit, layers of betrayal that went beyond what I'd known. It stung, sure, but it also reaffirmed my decision to walk away. But here's the kicker. Through all this mess, I found a voice I didn't know I had. Started speaking out, sharing my story with other women who'd been through their own hells. It was empowering, feeling like my mess could help someone else find their way out of theirs. And me? I started killing it at work. Found a strength I didn't know I had. A confidence that came from facing my worst fears and coming out the other side. Financial independence? Check. No more playing the damsel in distress. I was my own hero now. Then, as fate would have it, I ran into him. Abroad, of all places. He tried, in his own way, to make amends. But standing there, looking at him, I realized there was nothing left to say. Forgiveness? That ship had sailed. I'd moved on, built a new life from the ashes of the old one. And him? He was just a ghost from the past. So, I walked away. Not with anger, not with hate, but with a quiet strength. I'd lost so much, but in the process, I'd found something too. Myself. And as I stepped into my new life, I knew there was no looking back. The chapter was closed, and a new one was waiting to be written. Just me, my strength, and a world of possibilities.